69 in Tequila, 74 in Lawrenceville, 74 in Roswell, and 75 right here in Midtown. More news we at 11:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Chip Canellis on 95.5 WSB.
Well, would you look at that? This is the Nightcap with yours truly, and most importantly, your buddy, Jared Yamamoto. This is my new talk show, typically heard Saturdays from 11 to midnight, right here on 95.5 WSB. And I've got to address this right out of the box, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I am playing through pain tonight. However, I know many of you are watching my Instagram stories and watching where I've been. I was at Shaky Knees earlier today, and I was at Shaky Knees last night. Shaky Knees is not the cause of this, because if you are a diehard WSB listener and you've been listening to the Von Hessler Doctrine, which I'm a proud member of every day from 3 to 7 here on this station, I have been playing through this pain since Wednesday afternoon, and I am dedicated to each and every one of you. I want to make sure that I deliver every single time I'm behind this microphone. So even though I may sound like a frog-throated Yamamoto, believe me, we still have a ton to talk about, and I'm even getting people online already telling me that they like the sound. They like the deeper-sounding Yamamoto. I do have to project more with my diaphragm tonight just because, again, I'm just all stopped up. I thought it was an allergy thing, but right around Wednesday, just started feeling crummy. And then Thursday on the Von Hessler Doctrine, lost my voice a little bit. Then yesterday, Eric was making fun of me. And now here I am. I'm behind this microphone, and I have so much to talk about. It's always on the weeks where you have so much to talk about when something like this happens. And I just have to start off with this Jimmy Kimmel story because I have heard Shelley talk about it. I've heard Eric Erickson talk about it. Obviously, I've heard EVH talk about it. I've heard all of our great WSB hosts talk about the Jimmy Kimmel story. And I don't want to dwell on it because I feel like that was the top story of the week. And I think my perspective is unique from my fellow hosts. They've all made great points, but where I differ from them, and there's no need really to play the audio. We all know what happened, and it was regarding the Charlie Kirk assassination, and it was an off-color remark that happened. Is it the worst thing that Jimmy Kimmel said on his show? In my opinion, no. But I feel like a lot of people aren't focusing in on the right thing. I know there's a lot of people that make the free speech argument. There's a lot of people that say that, well, it's just Trump pulling the strings and it's a business deal behind the scenes. But really, the question we need to be asking is whether or not ABC/Disney put out some kind of directives telling all of their employees not to talk about the Charlie Kirk incident, to talk about the assassination. That is the question that nobody is asking. And when you try to find out and get an answer about it, there's nothing about that. There have been so many companies that have come out and said, hey, like, you work for this healthcare company. We don't want you going on your social media talking about this. And before you come at me with the free speech issue, I'm going to push back and tell you it's not a free speech issue because you represent that company and you can say those words, but the company can also say that they can cut ties with you. There's no connection to you and the company. The company could say, fine, you say those words, but you can no longer work here and you could take your services somewhere else. That's the argument that people just don't seem to understand. And I think with Jimmy Kimmel working for ABC/Disney, if Disney put out some kind of directive saying, hey, to all my employees, you cannot talk about the Charlie Kirk incident in any way, shape, or form on your social media, hell, on their platform, they're the ones that own those airwaves, then they're the ones that make the rules. Believe it or not, I'm kind of in a similar scenario. I'm here. I am an employee of WSB Radio. And if WSB wanted to say, hey, Jared, we don't want you to talk about what's going on in Atlanta anymore, in order for me to continue working here, I would have to obey what WSB says. Now, outside of WSB, I could talk about whatever the hell I want because that's my person, unless, of course, they say, well, your social media is connected to WSB. And I feel like the larger point that I'm trying to make here is that the companies are the ones that are making these decisions. I mean, I've seen everything from large gas station companies to healthcare companies that have all come out to weigh in on this topic. And there have been people that have said nasty things online. Should they be censored? In my opinion, no. And I'm grateful that I work for a company that has allowed me to speak my mind about that. But that's the question that needs to be asked, is whether or not ABC put out some kind of directive that said, hey, Jimmy Kimmel, to any of our other talk show hosts, we don't want you guys to talk about this. Good Morning America, all of their programming that they have over there. And then you'll find the truth. All of this, this nonsense about, well, you have the right to speak your mind. Again, I'll say it again. You do have the right to speak your mind. But if you are working for a company, especially using their airwaves to speak your mind, then you have to understand that they're the ones that create the rules. Now, if you had your own airwaves and or your own platform and you're putting the information out there, then that's fine. You can do that. And that's why it's so controversial in the social media world, because when people get worried about social media censorship, I always make the argument, well, you're technically on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the different places. You're on their platform, so they are the ones that make the rules. And if we as the users and we as the people start to disagree with how these platforms are starting to quote unquote censor speech, then it is up to us to A, create our own platform, or B, go to another platform that allows the speech that we want to hear on there. That's why I'm a big fan of X, quite frankly. I really do. I thought initially once Twitter became X, I was concerned that X was going to become kind of just this crazy place where, people are just going to say all these outlandish things, kind of like becoming kind of like not Bumble. What's the one? Rumble. That's right. Bumble's the dating app. Rumble is the place where some of these streamers are just out of control over there. But again, in my opinion, I like that. I like the idea that people are able to express themselves no matter how nuts they are on their platform. I would rather live in a society where you can do that. But at the end of the day, Rumble decides what goes out on their platform. X decides what goes out on their platform. Facebook decides what goes out on their platform. Disney decides what goes on their platform. Hell, WSB decides what goes out on their platform. So until we find out whether or not there was a direct directive, if that makes any sense, given to Jimmy Kimmel and to all of the ABC hosts, that is the question that we need to ask instead of focusing in on free speech argument. I know a lot of people are talking about the potential merger that was going on with several of the Next Star stations that they owned, and all those are valid points. And the FCC chair could come in there and stop a deal. I don't love the way Trump is handling free speech in this country, because in my opinion, what I'm noticing from him, especially when he gets asked combative questions, is he's very, very quick to get super sensitive about it and bat people down and be like, no, I don't want you to be talking about that at all. That's not the kind of speech that I want you to talk about. So for those that are for free speech, especially those on the conservative side, I'm seeing a lot of issues with how Trump is handling free speech, at least so far in his presidency. Is it necessarily worse than how the Biden administration was handling free speech? I can't say yet. It's very, very early in the presidency. But the idea that Trump ran on free speech and that he's offering free speech, I feel like I'm not really seeing it so far. So at least I have addressed the Kimmel stuff right out of the box. But another thing that I'm just so disappointed with all of the leaders in Washington now is apparently there was a continuing resolution that was passed yesterday to keep the government funded past October 1st. I mean, this deadline is coming up, guys. It's coming up in about a week and a half. And my goodness, it is always just kicking the can down the road. There is no such thing as a long-term solution to keep the government open. And it's because both sides feel like they gain power from acting like they're in control of this. I heard a couple of my colleagues here on this station say, well, if the government shuts down, it's definitely going to be the Democrats that do it. And I'm like, no. It is going to be 100% both sides here that end up happening. And the reason why the government will shut down is because in the Senate, in order to pass this continuing resolution vote, you have to get at least 60 members to vote on board from the Senate. Now, again, the House vote was super close, like 217 to 212, I believe the numbers were. So there's going to be issues with it. But again, like I feel like since I've worked at WSB, we have probably signed, I want to say like 30 or 35 of these stopgap measures, these continuing resolutions, just all of these band-aids to keep government open for so long. And I'm just disappointed. I'm really, really disappointed. And it's when you vote people into office, at least for me, I still believe in the American ideal. I still believe that these people are out there trying to do what's best for me as their constituent. I feel like as they represent me, I still feel like they're trying to do what is best for me. And maybe that's my fault. Maybe I'm blinded by what's going on up in Washington, D.C., because it seems to me that all of these politicians just, put on this nice face. I mean, we're coming up on a midterm year, gubernatorial race here in Georgia. We're already getting all the ads now where people are telling us, oh, this is the stuff that I'm going to change here in the state of Georgia. This is the stuff that I'm going to change if I'm voted to the House of Representatives. These are the things that I'm going to change. And I hate to say that I'm becoming disillusioned with this stuff, but it certainly makes me numb because I've heard these promises before. And this is a big deal for me. We've got to figure out how to fund the government long term. We have got to figure out how to do that. Otherwise, if we just keep kicking the can down the road, I mean, it makes me worried about having kids, by the way. It makes me and my lovely wife worried about having kids, knowing that we are transferring over this current national debt, this current state of the country, over to the next generation. Now, hopefully there is a genius born in the next generation, or maybe there are geniuses already amongst the Gen Zers and millennials that just haven't been able to come to the front because all the baby boomers and the Gen Xers remain in power for the most part and have decided that they like being a careerist in the political world. I feel like there is going to be somebody that comes down the path that will certainly help us out. But if we just keep doing continuing resolutions, stopgap measures, and both sides point fingers at one another, I'm sorry, I'm just not buying it. I'm very, very disgusted with how Congress has operated over this time. I mean, I guess I have to give a little tip of the cap to Speaker Mike Johnson for getting this through the House. But again, we know the Senate's not going to go through with it. And I feel like I have belabored the topic here on politics. I haven't had a political show in a while here on my Nightcap, which I promise you, when we come back, we'll get into some less political things. I see that in China, there are these dystopian toilets who will not let you use the bathroom unless you watch an advertisement first. Believe me, I have some thoughts about that. And a woman was sentenced to 5 years in prison for operating a Buckhead brothel. This is wild. I have things to say about both these stories, and I appreciate you guys dealing with this frog-throated Yamamoto that I am here. This is my Nightcap, and whether I'm at full strength or not, I'm always here to deliver for you. We're taking your open mics on the WSB radio app, and this here Nightcap is brought to you by Guardian Home Experts, Heating, Air, and Plumbing. We'll be right back. This is the Nightcap with yours truly, Jared Yamamoto, and I appreciate all the kind words people are saying on my socials. At Jared Yamamoto, I'm on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, all the different places. And Alfie, Monica, Ryan, and Jeff, you guys all get shout outs for being super nice to me. I have been battling through pain since Wednesday this week, and if you're a diehard fan of WSB, you know I'm part of the Von Hessler Doctrine daily from 3 to 7 here on this station, and even lost my voice on Thursday for a little bit. And I know people are quick to blame. They're quick to blame. They want to blame me for going to Shaky Knees earlier today, but I made sure to leave early to be here for you guys, to be behind this big WSB mic. And last night, I took it easy. I really did take it easy. So whatever I've got, I don't wish it upon anybody, but the cough drops are helping. I'm sure the coffee is not helping, but I've got the decongestants going, the Allegra going. I got everything going, trying to balance myself out and deliver for all of you great people out there. I love this open micer here. I believe she heard my opening monologue talking about Kimmel, and I 100% agree with her.
The way I was thinking about it was the First Amendment keeps you from being arrested because of what you say, but it doesn't keep you from the consequences of what you say from your employer. If you are not representing your employer the way that they want you to, or if your customers don't like your business because of something that you are doing, then you can be fired for that. But the First Amendment doesn't keep you from being fired.
That is absolutely right. And that's the exact point that I made in the opening of my Nightcap, talking about how a lot of people just seem to be talking about the wrong things with Kimmel. And I was really excited to get behind the mic and give my perspective. Because, again, I love my fellow hosts here on the station. Love Shelley, Erickson, Aram, Chandler, EVH, all of them. But I feel like they have not addressed that issue yet. And that lady hit it dead on, as I did in my opening monologue, talking about how we don't know what directive ABC and Disney gave to all of their talk show hosts once the Charlie Kirk assassination happened. And if Kimmel just openly defied it, then that's an issue because it is their airwaves. And because it's their airwaves, they control what's going on. Technically, the example I made before is that because I work for WSB could technically tell me exactly what I can and cannot say. Now, I would then probably choose to go somewhere else because that would be no fun. And this is why I love this station, is because they basically let me talk about whatever I want to talk about. And she nails it on that open mic, which we are taking even more of your open mics there on the WSB radio app. And coming up in just a few minutes, I have some Jason Bonham Led Zeppelin tickets to give away. Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin evening. So don't go anywhere. I will be giving away those tickets shortly. Get ready there, Jason. Jason is my operator. He makes sure that my voice gets to all of you great people out there. He flies the WSB spaceship every Saturday night from 11 to midnight and does an excellent job doing so. We'll get ready for that giveaway here in just a few minutes. So if you want some Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin evening tickets, stay tuned. I'm going to give them away in just a few minutes here. All right, now I was talking about this this dystopian toilet, right? This is over in China, where apparently you can not go to the bathroom unless you watch an advertisement first, which that's about as bad as when you go to Europe. And I know that there have been some public restrooms where you have to throw €1 in before using the public restroom. I mean, this is getting out of control. I mean, imagine if you get in there and you've just really got to go and the ad hasn't finished yet. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't appear that there's like a lid that opens or anything, but let's just put it this way, and not to be too disgusting on a Saturday night, but there's going to be some messes in these bathrooms, because oftentimes, at least my philosophy is, if I'm going to a public restroom, it's because I absolutely have to go. I would much rather go where I'm comfortable. I would much rather go to my throne at my house and take care of business than go somewhere else. And I'm sure many of you are the exact same way. Now, of course, sometimes nature calls at different times. I'm not afraid to go to a public restroom. I'm not afraid to go to other restrooms. But if I saw this idea where I had to scan a QR code and then decide to use the restroom, I would be pissed off. I'd be like, no. Literally, do you want me to defecate all over your barcode here? Well, then make me open up this toilet first and take care of my business before watching this damn advertisement. I almost got so pissed off in Europe when they were trying to charge me €1 to use like essentially a gas station bathroom in Italy. And I'm like, what in the hell is this? This is ridiculous. And I think that some of these companies and some of these businesses believe that, oh, we can make money any way possible. I guarantee you, if I'm in the bathroom and I see this advertisement, more likely than not, it was not memorable and it was not helpful for me at all. I was just trying to take care of my business. So shame on you, China, for putting this out there. And the Europeans should take note. Public restrooms, the keyword, public restrooms should be free and ready for use for all here. All right, now let's give some tickets away. I have 2 tickets to see Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin evening on Saturday, November 22nd at the Coca-Cola Roxy. I want you to be caller number 12 to 404-872-0750. Again, caller number 12 to 404-872-0750. If you miss out tonight, tickets are on sale at Ticketmaster.com. We'll have more of my nightcap, after news, weather, and traffic. And you got to deal with my frog-throatedness for at least 30 more minutes. I'm fighting through this, ladies and gentlemen.
71 in Union City, it's 73 in Riverdale, 74 in East Point, and 72 right here in Midtown. More news at 12 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Chip Canales on 95.5 WSB.
Again, you guys are so nice. I really appreciate all of the kind words I'm getting on my socials at Jared Yamamoto, my ex, Facebook, Instagram, DMs, TikTok DMs even. Everyone's being super nice, saying I'm doing great. I know that I sound like a frog-throated Yamamoto, but man, I've been playing through pain since Wednesday this week on the Von Hessler Doctrine, and I appreciate all of the sweet words that you guys are saying. And Brad, I'm going to get to your comment here in a second because I realize you're being a little combative with something that I said, but I just need to bring this up here. With the cocktail of drugs that I've been taking to make sure that I had the plane leveled out and ready to go to do the show tonight, that being some Allegra, that being a decongestant, I've got my coffee and everything. I'm sure the coffee is not helping, but all the different things to make sure I'm leveled out to do the show for all of you beautiful people. The one thing that I noticed earlier that I think is very, very stupid, that I'm sure many of us have not thought about when we take it, but I went to the store yesterday and I bought some of the vitamin 1 a day for men just to like thinking that my levels might be out. I'm like, you know what? Maybe that'll help me out here. I've been sick for a couple of days. Maybe that'll help me out here a little bit. And I think it is the dumbest marketing ever. The fact that they call it a 1 a day for men's, but then you take two. You take two of the gummies that are inside the actual canister. So I get that you take it one time per day, but you would think that they would make it to where it is just one little gummy that you take instead of two. That's just my 2 cents on the matter. I just thought it was a little bit, as somebody that works in marketing and branding behind the scenes, I'm like, that's a little odd that they would ask you to take 2 of these gummies. And it also shows you how long it's been since I've taken actual gummies. But nonetheless, Brad, I wanted to get to your comment here because you're being a little combative with me. And he's on my X account and he's saying, you were questioning how Trump hasn't been fair about the First Amendment earlier in the show, and that's not fair. You're not being consistent with what you're talking about. I'm like, listen, if you want to hear what I said about Kimmel and the actual issue that's going on, you can download the podcast version of my Nightcap. It'll drop this Monday wherever you get your podcasts, or get it on my YouTube page. I don't want to repeat myself because I feel like I've made the point already twice here on the show. Had a great open micer that actually made the point very well, and I just feel like it's unnecessary for me to make the exact same point again. But I want to give you some examples of some moments this week specifically where I was just disappointed with Trump and how he is handling freedom of the press and freedom of speech. This is him smacking down ABC's Jonathan Karl here.
And what do you make Pam Bondi saying she's going to go after hate speech? Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech.
Should probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me $16 million for a form of hate speech. So maybe they'll have to go after you.
By the way, Mr. President, and just in case you missed there at the end, again, by the way, maybe I'll go after you. I mean, what a mature way to handle things. I mean, the point of the press is to ask questions that are legitimate to what's going on. And Pam Bondi cannot stop hate speech. That's not possible. If you are directly threatening somebody with your speech, then there is an issue. But hate speech is protected under the First Amendment. I'm sorry, Mr. President. That's just how it works. And what I'm noticing here is the same issues that we saw with the Biden administration. The Biden administration rarely talked to Newsmax or Fox News. When Peter Doocy was called on, he was immediately shooed away. And people were like, well, okay, we'll just make sure that we focus on a narrative that comes out of the other side. I mean, again, I really thought that Trump was going to be able to handle this better. I thought he always did a good job answering questions from everybody in the media, and he was able to show off his cognitive ability at least by answering difficult questions. But I don't like that idea there. And then again, there's another example even earlier in the week where an Australian reporter asked him a controversial question. I'll give it's controversial, but there's a polite way to decline it. There's a polite way to answer it, but again, goes after him, starts threatening him. I mean, you be the judge here.
A president in office should be engaged in so much business activity.
Well, I'm really not. My kids are running the business. I'm here. You know what the activity, where are you from?
I'm from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, Four Corners program.
Well, the Australians, you're hurting Australia, right? In my opinion, you are hurting Australia very much right now. And they want to get along with me. You know, your leader is coming over to see me very soon. I'm going to tell him about you. You set a very bad tone. Well, go ahead, John.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to use your question that you just asked me there to become a weapon in the negotiations for tariffs and trade and whatnot. I mean, this is just ridiculous here. That's not how, in my opinion, the president should handle that. If it's a controversial question, there is a way to politely decline the question and move on from it instead of threatening them and say, hey, like, if you ask a question like that again, like, watch out, I might come after you, or watch out, your government might come after you. Not a good way to live, by the way. You want to have whoever is in power to be held accountable for what they say and what their positions are on any kind of issue. Imagine if in 2028, if we get a president, Gavin Newsom, or I got to talk about this 107 Days book by Kamala Harris. What if we get Kamala Harris in 2028 and she decides, well, you know, Fox News, Newsmax, because you asked that question, I'm going to prosecute you for it. That is absolutely absurd. You do not want that from your president. You want to, number one, follow the Constitution, no matter what side you're on, and allow freedom of the press. And he has an out. He's the president. He can avoid the question and just politely decline it instead of saying, well, I'm going to threaten you with a lawsuit or I'm going to threaten you to your country. Not loving that. Not loving that kind of speech there. Now let's get to this Kamala Harris book here. 107 Days. Earlier this week, she's coming to Atlanta, I believe, next month. So it's kind of crazy that how fast this book tour is picking up steam here. But she made huge news this week by admitting that she would have liked to have Pete Buttigieg as her running mate in the 2024 election cycle over Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. And according to the book, apparently she felt like as a black woman married to a Jewish man and Buttigieg being a gay man, that it was too risky for voters. And for me, I'm like, that is the absolute wrong way of thinking there. If both candidates, both Buttigieg and Kamala Harris, have been charismatic and honest with the voters, I think that's kind of the Trump effect there a little bit. Trump, whether you like him or not, he is a straight shooter and he is honest about things, or at least appears to be honest about what he says. There are plenty of things where I'm like, I don't know if I believe that or not, but at least he puts on a persona that appears to be trustworthy and honest. And with Kamala, at least when she ran, she was very mechanical, didn't appear comfortable. And Buttigieg, when he ran, he dropped out before South Carolina, and the gay vote is a big deal. I mean, it is a massive issue that's going on. But I think, though, what Buttigieg highlights here is important. You have to be genuine and honest to your voting base, and then they will start to believe in you. Listen to what Buttigieg had to say when he found out about him being the possible running mate for Kamala Harris and then being passed over because of his sexuality.
Well, I was surprised when I read that. I just believe in giving Americans more credit than that. My experience in politics has been that the way that you earn trust with voters is based mostly on what they think you're going to do for their lives, not on categories. And I wouldn't have run for president if I didn't believe that. I was right here in Indiana when this state turned blue for the first time since LBJ, and it wasn't Bill Clinton who did it. It wasn't John Kerry who did it. That happened in 2008 when Barack Obama was leading the ticket. And just again and again, my personal experience getting reelected in South Bend and a lot of other things have just shown me that you just have to go to voters with what you think you can do for them. And that's why I'm here in Indiana right now.
And I agree with that message. And I do feel like Buttigieg is on to something. If people can feel that you are being somewhat genuine. I mean, politicians, they all lie. Let's be honest. Trump lies. Kamala lies. Biden lies. All of these politicians lie to us. But if you have the ability to make some kind of personal connection with your voters, then that's more effective than worrying about the sexuality of the candidate. At least for me, I know that when I'm considering it, I'm thinking about who's going to do the best job and who is going to hurt me the least when elected into office. But I guess people don't think about that. They're really concerned about numbers, and it's kind of a sad state of things when you think about that. The fact that she really wanted this person, and you could even make the argument that she probably should have picked Governor Shapiro from Pennsylvania because of how popular he is in the Democrat Party compared to Tim Walz, who Tim Walz apparently is now going to run for a third term in Minnesota. I mean, good luck to them. I mean, that guy showed not only that he was wacky, but he was also just kind of a strange dude all around. So I think for a lot of campaigns going into the future, it's okay to go with your gut. Look at what the Trump administration did. They went with their gut on a lot of things, and they've won 2 elections because of it. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be like Trump, like what you see with Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom always tries, or is at least trying to act like Trump. No. You have to find your own lane. You have to find your own lane so that way you can establish yourself and say, oh, wow, that is the Newsom plan. That's what he wants to do, and that's why I believe in him. And Buttigieg is onto something there. I know a lot of people have been saying that was a kind of a wishy-washy response from him, but I hear him. I actually understand exactly what he's talking about, and I feel like his political career is not done. Now, do I agree with Buttigieg on a lot of things? No, politically I do not, but from understanding how a voter ticks and understanding the charisma that's needed to get a politician over the finish line. I've seen this in campaigns, and he certainly could be a threat in the future to run for the presidency again. And even for those that are for him, I hate using the term threat, but that's just the reality. He could be a viable contender for the president of the United States in the future. When we come back, man, I have not gotten to this nutso story where this woman was sentenced to 5 years in prison for operating a Buckhead brothel. I've got to get to that. Also, apparently some Russian warplanes have breached NATO airspace yesterday over Estonia. I've got some audio for you. We'll get to all of it and more when my nightcap returns. I appreciate you guys so much dealing with my frog-throated self. I'm all medicated up, and I'm doing it for you, ladies and gentlemen, because I care about you, and I want to make sure that I deliver every Saturday night from 11 to midnight here on my nightcap. And that is why we are proudly brought to you by the great folks over at Guardian Home Experts, Heating, Air, and Plumbing. We'll be right back. Really appreciate all of y'all for being so cool with my frog-throated voice tonight here on my nightcap. I promise you next Saturday, or at least I hope by next Saturday on my nightcap, my voice will be back to normal. Hell, I hope it's back to normal for the Von Hessler Doctrine this Monday from 3 to 7 here on WSB, because I know that people are going to disagree with me, but I am going to go to Shaky Knees tomorrow again. I am going to go back, and I'm going to make sure that I'm very responsible. I'm not going to go hard in the paint, I promise. I'm going to make sure that I'm responsible while I'm out there enjoying the acts. I love Blink-182. They're headlining tomorrow. I'm going to make sure to go see them and then get a good night's sleep after that. And then hopefully by Monday, I'll wake up and my voice will be right back where it used to be. You would think in this business that it would stay in this normal spot, but my goodness, when you lose your voice, being a radio guy like myself, it is very, very annoying. And I appreciate all the kind words that I'm getting on my socials at Jared Yamamoto, which, by the way, you can give me a follow if you want to keep the conversation going past midnight tonight. It's going to be an early bedtime for yours truly. I'm not going to go out and do anything crazy tonight, but it'll be an early bedtime. But I'll keep the conversation going on my socials at Jared Yamamoto. Got a couple more things I want to get to here. Number one, I find this open mic to be quite hilarious. They are making fun of me and my lovely wife. And I said earlier, I think it was last week on my show, actually, how I'm totally cool with the idea of people being in AI relationships. If it makes them more stable people, then I'm okay with them being in an AI relationship. Now, does that mean you could go and get married to your AI bot? No, not at all. I don't think that at all. But if it brings you comfort to have an AI bot in your life that talks to you, then I'm okay with it. I'm totally fine with it. There was, famously this week, there was a young influencer that said that she had fallen in love with the AI version of Luigi Mangione, the guy that shot the United Healthcare CEO that's been on trial for a while. And she seemed a little nutty about things, but I wouldn't pass a law to stop people from falling in love with somebody that has an AI version of their voice out there. And this open micer understands the assignment. He's playing along with it. I get it. I got a good laugh out of this one, sir.
Hey, Jared Yamamoto.
Yes.
I got AI Tina Yamamoto.
Oh, yeah?
Married to. She talks to me all the time. She listens to me.
Oh, yeah?
I tell her to
Doesn't
stop
like me.
putting on Asian accents, like telling me she loved me a long time. But recently we got bored, so I got another phone and I got AI Jared, and I make AI Jared sit in the corner while I talk to AI Tina. And you know what?
Hey, I kind of like that. You got cut off there at the end, by the way. You only have 30 seconds on the open mic, but let me just tell you this. As long as Tina and I get paid for our name, image, and likeness, I'm fine. You could use the AI me, and you could use the AI Tina all you want, sir. And if I bring you pleasure outside of my nightcap or outside of the Von Hessler Doctrine, then by all means, I am doing my job for all of Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm glad that you thought you would get a rise out of me. But you know what? I'm actually all for that, sir. All right, a couple more stories here. The FTC is suing Ticketmaster and Live Nation, alleging the illegal ticket resale tactics. They're all in cahoots together. There are 7 states that have joined the FTC in this. And this is a real concern because I keep explaining to my friends, been at Shaky Knees all weekend, and right now I feel like festivals are the best bang for your buck. But the problem with festivals are that if it does rain out and you invest all this time, especially for those that traveled to Atlanta from other cities to come and enjoy Shaky Knees and it gets canceled, you often have to pivot quickly. I went to Bonnaroo earlier this year in Tennessee, and we had to pivot quickly because it rained so much that they had to cancel the festival, and you had to go, and we had to get an Airbnb basically right in the corner of Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. It was somewhere there in the mountains, technically in Alabama, but super close to Georgia and Tennessee. And we were able to pivot because we knew the area and we knew what to do. The issue that I have with festivals, though, is that if they cancel, then it leaves a lot of people high and dry. They don't know what the hell to do. So that's the only drawback to them. But these ticket prices are out of control. And when you see that companies like Live Nation and Ticketmaster are often in control of the resale market for these set events, that makes my antennas go up as well. I'm like, wait a second, who's to say that you're not regulating what people are selling these tickets for? That's why I kind of like the idea of going back to a Wild West style ticket support system. I'm not saying that you have to necessarily go outside of a stadium and scalp tickets or anything like that, but certainly it makes me think that we need to have some kind of regulation to make sure that the tickets that we see online that are on resale market are actually the real tickets without having costs put in there from the host company like Live Nation, Ticketmaster. Hell, StubHub does the same thing too. They put extra fees in there when you buy things on resale market. There's a lot of things that I find wrong with this, and I'm glad that they're finally working on it. Overall, though, just going to an individual concert, I feel like the money, if it's over $200, not worth it, and that includes the fees. These costs need to come down, and I don't know if the artists need to get paid more via stream or what, but man, we got to figure out something soon. Otherwise, we're going to lose some great art out there. That is our time for tonight. Thank you so much for dealing with me tonight here with my frog throat itself. I promise you I'll be back this upcoming Saturday from 11 to midnight, but I want you to do two things for me. Number one, don't do anything I wouldn't do. And number two, be safe out there, and I'll talk to you this Monday on the Von Hessler Doctrine.